Slithering Hearts.
Hi, I'm Jeremy, founder of Slithering Hearts.
Class B season heaven.
Hey guys, it's Christina from Slithering Hearts.
I got my start in the reptile industry really as a kid. The very first reptiles I was obsessed with were the aquatic turtles at the zoo. Not at the zoo, at the aquarium in San Francisco. I used to spend hours watching those guys swim around in circles. Parents would have to drag me away.
So I've discovered over the last year that I am becoming a huge reptile fan. And it seems that I'm kind of falling in love with all of the reptiles.
And as I got older, I bred sliders for a while. I bred red ears and yellow bellies, mixed them together. And, it wasn't much of a business. They're a cheap animal. It was just kind of a fun thing I did. And then I got out of the hobby for a while as I pursued life.
Turtles. Australian water turtle. I want them.
You
Do
want
they
what?
swim in the water?
Yeah.
Okay, I want them. Fly with turtles.
I've always had a soft spot for turtles, and my dream reptile right now are called fly river turtles. They are essentially the same thing as the sea turtles, except for they live in fresh water and they're a little smaller. They're huge for a freshwater turtle, and they're also one of the friendliest reptiles out there. So Christina says I can't have them until I have a warehouse for reptiles. So as soon as I do, I will start breeding those guys.
In water. Sometimes do all kinds of stuff.
But right now I do have a special place in my heart for the Australian water dragon. I think that they're super cute and super sweet looking. And they're little baby dragons to me. Whenever I get up in the morning, turn on the lights for Bonnie and Rebel, I look at them and they're basking and I'm like, oh, look at my little baby dragons.
Once I got married and had a kid, my kids started to show some interest in reptiles. So immediately we started looking into the kind of lizards we can get. And we landed on Australian water dragons, which are an amazing semi-arboreal, semi-aquatic species. They're just so much fun to watch. I love the way they climb. I love the way they swim. I love how goofy Clyde is and the way he kind of falls as often as he jumps. And in general, just kind of uses every inch of that cage and can be pretty wild. In fact, sometimes I take meetings in that office and I'm very distracted by a crazy lizard bouncing off the walls.
I feel that I became interested in breeding reptiles as a business when I found that Australian water dragons, for example, seem to only be on the East Coast, and we live in California. So we're pretty far away from the East Coast. We had to have Clyde and Rebel and Bonnie shipped from Florida, where they are most commonly bred. And that's a big trip for those little lizards.
Hognose snakes. The snakes, because they can go on the sleeves that I give them. Put them on the branches that I make for them.
When it comes to hognose snakes, I think that the silver and white Azantic hognose snakes are absolutely gorgeous, and I look forward to the time that we start breeding those.
We've also added hognose snakes, and while they're not as rare as some of the other animals we're talking about and thinking about, we wanted to have something a little more common that we can kind of anchor our business with and have regular sales while we propagate these other species. We will be working with some morphs, especially with the hognose snakes. There's some interesting combinations that I want to try and see what we get. But more than morphs, we really are going to be focused on lesser served animals that are either not well known in the community or just aren't bred well enough to be affordable for people to keep as pets.
That they can tune their stuff whole. And they can stick their tongues out very far.
I think that my favorite thing to do with any animal, definitely the reptiles that we have at this time, is to hold them. I love to love on my pets.
I really enjoy seeing reptile behavior. more so than handling even, although I do try to focus on animals that are at least somewhat handleable with my family. But I used to do red ear sliders, which are almost entirely a display animal, and I like watching the different things that reptiles do and the way they react. I like watching them eat. I like watching them climb. I like watching them swim.
Pet them and hold them and put them on the blankets that I make for them.
And they're really just kind of cool little animals. They aren't the animals that you see as pets that everybody has. Everyone has a dog, everyone has a cat. Not everybody can say that they have an Australian water dragon for sure. Not everyone has a snake. And
Yeah, and we'll keep some of those. 5. 10.
kind of loving on the snakes, amazingly. And so we'll see as we expand to other reptiles. I might be loving them too.
I started to think about maybe we could do breeding full time, and that's our overall goal here. But we want to focus on species like the Australian water dragon that are underrepresented in the industry. So we're looking at blue beauty night anoles, we're looking at dwarf retics and super dwarf retics. We're looking at fly river turtles and Meller, as well as Parsons chameleons potentially as future breeding projects.
I think that in the future, I'm pretty excited about Miller's chameleons. I really like the idea of having such a large reptile. So that's definitely something that I look forward to. I love the bright colors that you can get on some of these reptiles out there. It's amazing for all the different colors and all the different patterns and morphs that are out there. There's so many different options that you can create, and that's definitely something that I love about reptiles.